I feel like every time I move in my chair, the mic picks up like the.
There was one.
It doesn't go through so much. I've also usually I'm in that chair as well, where it's like squeaky.
Yeah.
And it doesn't pick it up. So.
Okay, good.
There was one time where I was swallowing, and it was so loud. I was like, it almost sounded like I was burping, but I was not. I was swallowing.
We have to clap together.
You can do whatever.
Oh, okay.
Perfect. Welcome back to Unsigned Berlin. We're here today. Well, Mila's not here. She's in California still, but we're here today with Fredrik and Izzy with their single "Can I Say It Yet," which we'll listen to the clip now.
Can I say it yet? Faced with my reset.
And that was "Can I Say It Yet" by Fredrik and Izzy. You're both songwriters, am I right?
Yeah.
What was the collaboration like for that? Did one of you kind of have the song already written and then bring it to the other, or were you both in a room writing it together? What was that like?
Do you want to start or?
Yeah, I mean, I think Fredrik and I got to know each other at the beginning as just like friends.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a little session with Ludwig actually where we kind of showed each other what we make, and he just played some clips of like some clarinet composition that he had made once, and I remember really liking what he made. And then at one point we just decided like, why not try to write a song together as like a friend project kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we started from scratch, so we didn't have anything. I think I had the first chord, like just the chord shape, and we really liked the sound of it, and it ended up being the first verse chord.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But that was everything we had. We just we just started, and actually we just started with the chord progression. So we like finished the whole song, every part with the chord progression, nothing else.
Oh, okay, nice.
But yeah, that's kind of how we started.
Yeah. And I think also through the song we also got to know each other a bit. So I think our friendship developed through that time as well, because we were still like getting to know, like opening up about stuff.
And we started quite early. We started in October, I think.
Yeah, true.
Like at the beginning of the first semester, and the song got released
in May.
in May, so that was like
a full year,
quite some.
or almost,
Yeah,
like kind of
quite
8
some-
months,
Yeah.
like 9 months. So it was like a little baby.
Yeah,
Exactly.
quite some time put into that song.
Yeah, it's also cool. You can look back on it and be like, oh, I remember when we were doing this. Like this was
Yeah.
kind of like a part in the development of
Yeah.
the friendship.
And we have like some little video clips or just some audios of like us trying to figure the parts out, or like the where we want each part we've written to be in the song and stuff. So it's
We took our time, but I think we also had like a very similar idea of what the pace should be.
Yeah.
And like
there
how
was
much time each part deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So
no rush in the whole process.
At what point did you bring it to Ludwig Stahl, who did the production?
So we recorded it at Funkhaus, and then we had the stems, and I started to do my own mix, and I'm not a producer.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to do it, and we had something, and then we booked a Pete Smith tutorial.
Which is for people who aren't from them, it's like a 20-minute slot of time with one of the lecturers, which is not much time, especially when you listen to a track and then you listen to a reference track and then you have like 6 minutes left to talk.
It's literally like listen to it and then 6 minutes of him talking. But yeah, we showed him the track, and then he had a lot of things to say about the mix and the stems, and then we realized that it's not really something we would publish now. So we had to decide if either we work with him again, like book more tutorials and work on it, or we just give it to someone who can actually produce and not us. So that's kind of how the whole Ludwig thing started. But that was like when that was in February maybe or March.
I think it was a bit later.
Really? Like
Yeah,
I
towards
think
the end.
the whole songwriting thing took like very long,
Yeah.
Right.
and then the recording and the production and everything was quite fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then did Ludwig work with the same multi-track that you had recorded in Funkhouse, or was it like re-recording as well?
I think the only thing we didn't re-record anything. I just added another guitar for the bridge,
Yeah.
but everything else was from that session. We had like a lot of tracks. There was like quite a lot of comping to do because we I don't know, like the actual Funkhouse recording thing was like 6 hours of setting everything up and then like 20 minutes of recording. But in those 20 minutes we had like I don't know how many takes, so many different takes.
And a lot of mics.
A lot of mics.
Was that everyone playing, like you guys playing together
Yeah.
with other people as well, or if you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah. We did like a recording with drums, bass, and guitar at the same time together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Mel Keller on the drums and Jose Carlos on bass. Shout out to them. And yeah, they were like, we had 2 rehearsals with them before going to the Funkhouse and recording as a band. Kind of, we weren't really a band, but it worked really smoothly with them. I think like we did a few takes, and then we did vocals and strings separately on top.
Yeah,
of it.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
So we had 2 sessions, but yeah, the first one was really like we really had like 6 hours of setting everything up, and then because they had it booked for like a specific amount of time, and then we had like 20 minutes left of recording, so we had like 3 full takes, but then like a lot of different parts of the song recorded
Right. Yeah.
individually. So yeah, there was quite a lot of takes we could choose from. Yeah, and then we gave like the raw stuff to Ludwig, and he did all the production basically.
Nice.
Like the idea, I think, from our mix was there. Like he understood what we wanted the song to sound like, but then we just like let him do his thing. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
When you had like there was an arrangement for clarinet or something you had at the beginning. What were you using for that? Because I saw you also doing arrangements for like, well, later today you're doing arrangements for horns. There was something else you're doing for strings or something. Are you using, what program are you using for that? Because I think back on Sibelius when I was like 10.
Yeah.
Which was horrible.
Well, so the strings, for example, in the song, I think I just used like this free Spitfire audio thing, the BBC Symphony.
Oh, okay. Don't know.
I don't know. It's like a free VST, which is sounding quite okay, I think. And
I mean, it's not meant to sound great.
Exactly.
It's just so you know what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just wrote that and sent it to Izzy, and then like back and forth, and till we agreed on it, and then thankfully we had actual strings to record it. So yeah.
Yeah.
Who was doing the strings?
We have, I had a friend that is studying in the UDK here in Berlin as well. And she just brought another friend. So we had like 2 friends of mine who were recording it, and it was really nice. I think they did like 3 or 4 takes. It was like done very fast. And then, that went very smoothly.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then like fast forwarding, like I guess a few months from when you were recording the strings and it's out, and you got on I can't remember which playlist it was, but official Spotify playlist. Which playlist was it?
It was the GSA, which is like Germany, Switzerland, Austria, fresh finds, something like that.
Yeah, it's like for the
Like
new artists and like new songs coming out. What was that like in terms of the back end of, like, did you get a really big stream bump and then it kind of disappear, or did it hold, or did you get follows from that, or is it just kind of like nothing really happened?
I think compared to, because I've released a few things now, and it's been different every time with the streams. Like,
Same.
there doesn't seem to be a formula that works every time.
Yeah.
And I don't think we got like a huge stream bump with this playlist. It was there for, I don't know if it's still there actually, but
maybe it is. But
It-
at least 3 weeks.
because I probably Oh, at least 3 weeks.
Well, I think it renews every 7 days, but we were on it
Oh,
like
okay.
Yeah.
after
So it's not like everything.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
nice.
But I think it's still like going steady.
Yeah.
How it started, which is I think better maybe than having a bump.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But it didn't have like a huge impact. It's also just like it's quite a small playlist. I think it has like
Really?
25,000 fans.
Right.
And I don't know, I think in total, well, probably like half of the streams, or I don't know, maybe around half of the streams we have on the song is from the playlist. So
Nice.
it
Oh.
definitely helped. But as you said, it was quite steady. It was there was not a huge bump.
It's also good where it's like maybe smaller playlists are more likely that people have found them because they're really into music.
Yeah.
And they probably will they're more likely to add, they're more likely to research who you are and like kind of be fans instead of people who listen to like the Rap Caviar and then like that's all they listen to for the whole time.
I guess it's also just a hard playlist because it's fresh finds, so you have everything in there.
Yeah.
So of the 25,000 people, I don't know how many people actually like folk, pop, or whatever, because there's like a mix of everything in it. So you don't really know. But I've gained some Spotify followers, so maybe that was helpful.
I mean, I just remember being very excited about it and then never checking after. But
which is probably the healthiest reaction.
I think so.
Because you don't want to be refreshing all the time.
No, true.
From working with songwriters, there's a very different way to how they work to how I work, where I've had people be like, oh, well, we want this kind of energy, so we're going to do this chord progression and that kind of thing. Was the genre of kind of folky pop a decision to communicate a emotion, or was it just a natural thing that happened?
I think what was really cool about this and working with Fredrik that just kind of naturally fell into place was how much we both cared about having something interesting happening harmonically. And at one point it was like I would play a chord on the guitar and Fredrik would just be like, can you change that somehow to make it sound like, you know,
more
interesting? And I would remove some fingers without knowing what we were doing. And we both listened to, I think, a fair bit of jazz influenced stuff. And so we wanted a progression that did that, you know, like that had something happening with the tension and the chords and stuff. And then I think the folky part comes more from just the fact that it's like guitar based. It's basically like an acoustic guitar. It's got like a clear song structure and stuff like that. But I don't think we decided on a genre. We just went with what we thought was like, you know, good composition, and I don't know.
And I don't even remember when we decided on the topic, if we did this before the chord progression or...
It was after.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
We met at my house to talk about lyrics, which was also a big thing because I don't think either of us had written lyrics with another person before, because it's something kind of personal.
Yeah.
And we just like sat on my bed and discussed our feelings about being in Berlin and whatever, you know, just had a talk. I took some notes and then started sending things over, and then it was again a back and forth. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the folk, we called it like what, folk, acoustic, pop, whatever.
Yeah.
The genre name came at the very end, like when we had to
That's a
choose
good,
it on
I think
Spotify.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've said it before on the podcast, but like genres are very much just a marketing tool, which is a very useful marketing tool so people can find the music they want to find, but it's maybe good that it's outside of the creative process.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Do you want to continue within that kind of similar vein of genre or experiment with other stuff? I know, Fredrik, you do a lot of jazz, more kind of like leaning stuff. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, we are currently, we want to write another song together.
Yeah.
We have something already. But for my personal stuff, I would say I will probably keep it in this folk genre, but yeah, probably more leaning towards more jazz influenced stuff, but definitely like this acoustic vibe. Yeah, I think I kind of fell in love with it through the whole process.
Yeah.
I'm on a very like I listen to a lot of alternative rock and post-punk stuff.
Very different. Yeah.
Very different. And I mean, I think we have some of the same influences, but I think I'll branch out more in that direction. But I don't really know yet, and it's cool to like write with him. I think we agree somehow, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
and we don't really discuss like our ideas before. We just write, and then somehow it kind of fell into that place.
Nice.
Which it works between us. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any specific, whether it's like from growing up music in the house or stuff you found later that attracted you to doing kind of really very live based in terms of like live instruments, not digital, kind of folky things?
Ooh. I mean, for me, in my house growing up, we listened to everything. But this kind of more specific folk jazz thing, I started listening to Nick Drake when I was a bit older, and I started listening to jazz when I was a bit older.
Right.
So for me, it came later, and I don't think I would have listened to something like this when I was young. Actually, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I had a very bad music taste, like I think 3 years ago or something. So it's
kind of no such thing, but
no, true.
But what were you listening
different.
to 3 years ago?
It definitely. Well, the thing is, I didn't really have taste. I just listened to charts.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of weird because I don't like now from my perspective. I don't understand how I ever did this. I don't know.
Sometimes things are interesting in charts, you know.
Yeah.
There's a reason things are popular, and
Exactly.
it's usually because they're good.
Yeah.
But then
There's something
sometimes
to
it's
see.
because they seem like they should be good, so they just added to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I also just think I didn't really knew how Spotify works, and I don't know how far the whole like algorithmic stuff was back then. So I don't know. I just didn't really find my kind of music. But yeah.
But at that point, you had been learning music for a while, no?
Yeah.
Because you play lots of instruments, I feel like.
I've been playing a clarinet now for almost 15 years. So I started with like 5. So that's, I think that has probably also been really influential because I've always played in like orchestras and little ensembles. So like just acoustic instruments were always present. My mother is a music teacher. My dad is a songwriter as well, like not professionally, but like he's been doing that for all his life. So there was always like a guitar around the house or just like live acoustic music.
That must have influenced your amazing taste.
For real. Well, it definitely my parents, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
My father.
But I mean, 3 years ago, if you were not really into music in terms of the way you were like looking for stuff that you really liked, do you remember when you found something that kind of opened your eyes to music?
I think maybe the 3 year thing is wrong. Maybe it's like 4 years, but I'm sorry. No, but I did my exchange year in Canada.
Right.
And I remember that I made a playlist, which I like recently found again, with like a lot of chart stuff. So I know that in this time I didn't really I didn't really have like an individual taste. And then in Canada I discovered the jazz band, and I think like this was my first introduction to jazz really. And then after my exchange year, I think I started getting into jazz more, and I found more music that I liked, and then I think it started. So I would say probably this,
Shout out Canada.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me in the jazz band.
Izzy, do you remember if there was anything like that where there was like an album or an artist that really got you into music for the first time?
Yeah. At the height of my teenage angst and anger, I discovered the Arctic Monkeys, which, you know, they're not like super hard rock, but for what I was listening to at the time, it was like I discovered like aggressive, you know, with their AM album, it was like cool and rocky and whatever. Yeah. And through them, I started actually looking for music on my own, because before I would just go for what people were listening to. So through that world of like underground indie bands, eventually you run into like really weird and interesting stuff, and I always found that cool, you know, to find.
Like what?
Give us something weird.
Give us something weird. Well, under alternative, I think a lot of like different things, like they throw.
Yeah, it's anything. It's like
anything,
it's a terrible genre name, but
you know, like now I don't know. There's something like Aphex Twin, which is like electronic music, but it's also thrown in under like alternative, and it's super.
And then there's also like Bastille and Lana Del Rey.
And Lana Del
what
Rey.
is happening?
But yeah, like you know, Sufjan Stevens, for example.
Oh yeah.
That's also alternative.
That's alternative. It's like far from rock, and it's maybe more similar to what we are trying to. But I also found that down that route, you know, like, and then I started buying vinyl and showing up at record stores, and, you know, the whole thing. So yeah, it was a whole. I think I was 14 when I just started listening to rock bands and stuff.
Did you get into Discogs and all of that crazy world of collection as well?
Yeah. I have a lot.
Is there anything in your collection you're really proud of?
A lot of the coolest records that I have are just records that are actually the original ones that came out because they're like my dad's, you know.
Right.
I have Bowie, I have Pink Floyd, I have like those, I don't know, the typical ones you want to have, you know?
Yeah, like the prog rock, like...
Exactly. Art rock.
Stars.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And just a lot of that, yeah.
Nice. Do you feel like, I mean, the song you guys have put out is so far from Arctic Monkeys.
Really?
I feel like it's very, very...
I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like it has that kind of like world of the kind of indie rock stuff? Do you feel like there's influence in there that maybe, because I don't listen to that much indie rock, I just don't notice?
I don't know. I wouldn't say so, actually. And I think I think somehow the world of indie rock led me to what I said, like looking for something that sounds maybe a bit different, but this wasn't influenced by that at all. And right now, like, I really am branching out and listen to a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But my last song with Renate, the New Strings one, that one was way more similar to that kind of style. And yeah, I don't really know like where I'm going with things now, but
also don't need to.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's kind of nice to just focus on trying to have like a good composition. And maybe lyrically, I also really like the Arctic Monkeys for that reason, for like how Alex writes his lyrics, and so that part of our song was really important to me. Yeah, and that's maybe more the focus. Yeah.
Fredrik, do you have anyone that you look to in terms of songwriting and lyrics that you're like, this person always really nails it, I love what they do?
Joni Mitchell, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think like I have just recently discovered her. I don't know how I managed to do this.
I had a similar thing where it's like I knew the album cover that had the blue one. Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is my thing. And then found it later and was like, oh, this is actually very good.
Yeah, I really don't know how I managed to do it, but I've been kind of obsessed with her music, and like every song I listen to, I think the composition is just amazing, and I love her lyric writing. It's like so much storytelling. Like I can really picture everything she writes, and I think this has been like a big inspiration for me, definitely.
Do you feel like there's any specifics that you've picked up from listening to her, to the way that she writes?
Well, like she also had her jazz era, so I don't know. I think like just exploring harmonies and just not really limiting yourself in that sense. Like I feel like our approach was also very nice. We were just starting from like the first chord, and then we just listened to where we wanted to go next. And I feel like that's also kind of what she has. There's like no limitation. She just like wrote, and the harmonies are amazing. They're like going places. There are odd time signatures. She's like just playing with the musicality, and that's I feel like that's what I've taken away. That
nice. You're also Fredrik. You're also to exclude you a little bit, but Fredrik's also part of Akari. This is a 5-piece band.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Who's involved? What's the project?
Felix, he's also at our university, and he's a guitarist. I think, like, it was him and our drummer Deck, and they. I don't actually know who founded the band or whose idea it was, but Jose Carlos, who also played bass on our track, he asked me to come to a jam or like a rehearsal, because they were looking for another musician. They thought of a guitarist or maybe a keyboarder, and then I just went there, and they were all like really nice, and I loved the music. And then I kind of just like went to the rehearsals, and now I think I'm a part of the band. No, it's really nice. It's like a soul funk pop band, I would say, maybe. And we just recorded our EP, and now we're like in the process of producing and mixing it. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's a lot of good music, and yeah, as I said, like the bassist, for example, who also played on our track, so it's like it's a whole musician family at our university.
Yeah. Question for both of you: do you feel like there's a different approach to songwriting when you're in a big group like that, or when you're just two people doing a song, even though there's still all the arrangement and everything to come?
Well, I mean, I haven't written in a band.
Yeah, like I haven't written any of the
Right.
songs of the EP. I think that was them,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like.
Well, now you're part of them.
Yeah, but like I didn't write anything of it,
Right.
so I can't really tell as well. I also haven't written anything with the band.
It must be different.
Yeah.
I really want to as well.
Does that interest you a lot? Because I feel like when you're just two people or one person, there's a lot of like intimacy you can communicate, and a lot of emotion that's like easier to show versus with a band. Do you feel like that would be a concern, or are you just like super confident with I'm writing what I'm writing and we'll work it out?
I mean, I feel like with a band, it's more common to split roles a bit more and to have maybe the singer and guitarist focus on lyric together. But then you do have to take it to them and show what you've written and maybe answer some questions that might feel personal. And I feel like that's important to learn to do, but also, it's scary, and you've got to be with the right people for it. Sometimes it might not work.
True.
Yeah.
But I think it can be very nice just for like ideas. If you have like a lot of people, I don't think you really run out of ideas. And we didn't have a problem with that, but I feel like it's easier when you're alone or like just with another person to be stuck on something.
Yeah.
And I think in the band it's easier to just like move on or let someone else do it. And yeah.
Have you guys been doing live performances together, or do you plan to?
We have done live performances together, but not our song.
Exactly.
We have
okay.
never performed our song.
No,
For
we
anyone.
should.
Yeah, we should. We should plan it on it.
Yeah. Maybe after we write another one.
Yeah.
Then then you have like
Yeah.
a
We
little
Two
bit.
to two.
Yeah.
Just one. No, but we've played together. Yeah.
Yeah, we played his song at the end of your gig. The one with the clarinet. You weren't there, but
Wasn't it?
yeah.
But yeah. What interests you about continuing to play clarinet? Like, are there genres that you like to get involved with that clarinet enables you to do that? Or is it just something you can do and then people want you to do it?
To be honest, I just don't want to waste like 15 years of my life, but like devoting and like putting so much effort into this instrument and then just not playing it anymore. So I think I had like 2 years, maybe the last 2 years, where I didn't really know if I would ever really do something with the clarinet, like besides maybe a hobby. But now that I've tried to incorporate it in my songs, I think I will definitely use it for like my next songs. And because I think it fits this like acoustic folk thing, and it adds something cool, makes something individual. Yeah, so
I'm not very familiar with the folk scene of Germany or of Spain. Is there one? How is it? Did it influence you, or is it just like other stuff you've heard from other places?
Folk scene.
I'm just coming from a perspective of the UK. There's a big folk scene of
Yeah.
like, well, not a big one, but like it's
Sure.
there of like traditional kind of style music with fiddle and that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
I don't know much about the folk scene of Spain, or any scene in Spain actually.
I know some artists that are actually in Berlin, but I also don't really know anything about the folk scene.
What is the folk scene like?
Yeah.
Is there a folk scene in Berlin? I don't know.
And I don't think
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know if we're in a scene already.
You might be the scene.
We are the
maybe
folk
we're
scene of
the
Berlin.
folk scene. Yeah.
I feel like it's like more of a singer-songwriter thing, maybe.
Yeah.
True.
Open mic night
Yeah.
type thing. And
Yeah.
And these are like, there are a lot of them in Berlin,
Yeah,
for example.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
There's a
of
big singer-songwriter scene. So
So-
I guess there must be some folk
Yeah.
people in there.
Yeah, so it's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Have you guys been doing open mics and everything in your kind of, is this your first year of living in Berlin?
Yeah.
Have you been going to the open mic scene and figuring that all out, or more just focusing on writing and behind the scenes kind of things?
I mean, I've been going to watch a lot of it, and I played like 2 small venues with Indea and her band, but I haven't gone on my own to play yet. I've been focusing on like working with other people and getting to know.
Which is Indea Schmidt. Because,
Indea Schmidt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to any open
Mhm.
mics as well. I really want to. I think
Right.
maybe not in the summer, but
When we
like
come
in the winter, in the next winter. I think I will probably check it out, but more focused on writing and other
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like that's also something that, I mean, it depends if you're interested in doing it or not, but I feel like a lot of people would like to skip. Because it's very much like similar to the playlist you guys are on, where it's like maybe 60% of the audience doesn't even like anything
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And if you could just go straight to like performing to people
Yeah.
who you know, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of doing those live performances, do you think there's any kind of like, how would you guys want to do it as a band that you develop, maybe bring on a strings player or rearrange so it's just guitar and vocals, or what do you think, what interests you about that, what are you maybe not looking forward to about that?
That's a good question.
I mean, I think realistically, we would have some performances in the open mic scene with just
Yeah.
guitars and singing.
Mhm.
But as a band, like kind of similar to what we did with you, we had like a very simple setup
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like not a lot of show to it. It was like very much about the music and just I don't know.
Like, I think for this song, I think the drums are quite important
Yeah.
as well, just for the drive of the song.
Yeah.
So I would say if we like ever have like a little stage performance, we probably have like a little band, just
a
like
little band and a
guitar.
little stage.
yeah, exactly. No strings maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, just like a 4-piece band, 5, 3,
6,
Just-
7. It's like slowly building
Yeah.
into an orchestra.
Yeah.
No, but that's I think the cool thing about this genre, that you can like do it on your own,
Mhm.
like the kind of Nick Drake thing. You can just
Yeah.
be
that's
yourself
the
and the
idea.
guitar,
Yeah.
and it works in the right setting, or you just have
That the song should be able to stand on its own, you
Yeah.
know, without all the arrangement around it.
yeah.
It's cool
Yeah.
to have that as well.
True.
It's how you know it's a good song. It's like if you edit a video and then it should still be interesting when you turn the sound off, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess so.
So,
Is there anything? So you guys are relatively new to Berlin. You moved here a year ago. Is there anything that stands out to you about the city? Whether it could be a venue, it could be an artist that's here. That's something that like, oh, I'd really want to perform there. I'd really want to collaborate with this person, and it kind of like motivates you a little bit to get working.
I don't know. I've been to a lot of venues where I've seen that like there's a big crowd for like discovering new music and for just listening to new bands. And I
Mhm.
haven't seen that anywhere as well, like as much as in Berlin, where people just go and dance and I don't know. There's so many musicians. I don't know. There's a lot of the stages that we've been to that are like nice, but I haven't seen like one where I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to play there.
Mhm.
Not
It
yet.
could be completely like, unrealistic's a really bad term, but like really long term, where it's like if everything goes well and in like 10 years when I'm like established, I'd love to play like Columbia Theatre or something.
I was gonna say the Funkhaus actually would be really cool.
Yeah,
It's a cool venue.
Yeah.
It's a very.
It would be like a full circle moment as well.
True.
Yeah.
Where you're like, the song was coming from here.
Yeah.
That is the beginning. Yeah, true. I think just Berlin in general, like all the big artists at some point are in Berlin for like a concert or whatever. So you have I don't know, you don't really have to leave the city to see and listen to your like favorite acts, because at some point they're gonna come to Berlin and perform.
Which is amazing.
Which
Very
is,
underrated.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we both grew up in villages.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hopefully,
Yes.
the town that's nearby maybe
Yeah.
will get someone, because it's like a medium-sized town, like city. But yeah, no, that's
It's
really
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, as you said, there are like so many like venues with people who are eager to like discover new songs, which is so cool. Like I think it's the perfect city to start with music and like get your crowd.
Yeah, there's so many niches and like so many like circles of the most weird, you know, like
ranging of all levels of weird as well.
Exactly.
Where it's like weird, kind of boring, weird, interesting, too weird for
Very
me
weird.
personally,
Yeah.
too weird for anyone. Like,
Very true.
Yeah, and so it's like there will be people, even if it's a small crowd, to listen to whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel pressured at all to release music very consistent, like once a month type of thing, or like put stuff out on social media to kind of like create a personal brand? Or are you much more like, let's take it laid back, if people like me, they like me, hopefully it's just gonna
To be
Like,
honest
doesn't it
with
forced?
me, the only person pressuring me is my dad. It's like you have to put out more music. I am not really pressuring myself right now. I think I want to focus more on the whole song and be like happy with it. I don't want to rush any process. I want to be happy with the outcome. And I don't know, like I think as long as I study at university, I don't really want to pressure myself a lot. I think I definitely want to like go towards the direction of releasing more just I've lost the word, just
regularly.
More regularly, but not right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think like now that we're at BIM, we can take the time to focus on like learning how to write what we want to write, and like getting to know people who might or might not share those interests and stuff. So, and also I had a talk with another lecturer as well that just kind of told me a bit about how streams, you know, they look cool, you know, it's nice to have that number on your song, but like they're not really a built audience, and
Like it's a vanity metric.
exactly.
Where it's like, it feels good to have it, but then also you can't convert it into real money.
Yeah.
Into tickets to your gigs. and
Yeah,
stuff.
into anything you can actually live off as a musician.
Exactly. So I think it's smart to take some time to actually build something worth presenting to a crowd, and even if it takes longer. Yeah.
And we're young.
And we're really young.
We're really young.
And that's also one of the cool things about studying a creative, which I feel like there's some shade to it, where like people are like, oh, music university or like film school is a waste of time. But it's kind of like this nice cushion of time where you can be bad for a while.
Yeah.
Also very, very useful, because everyone is when they start, and then you can kind of like develop your skill and also prepare something that when you leave you can then use.
Yeah.
Why did you guys choose Berlin for studying music as opposed to like in Spain? I feel like there must be lots of options. Was there a specific idea behind that in terms of like, oh, I want to build something here in Berlin, or just like, oh, this course is really interesting, let's go for that?
I was actually living in Hamburg.
Oh,
before
okay.
this,
Right.
and there was a BIM in Hamburg, so I could have gone there.
Good that you didn't, because there's no longer a
Good,
BIM in
yeah,
Hamburg.
there was a BIM in Hamburg.
Yeah.
No, but actually I really didn't like Berlin. I came to visit it like 4 times. I was
Like most people that live in other parts of Germany are like,
it smells bad, like no.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go to a bigger city that had like more of a scene, and that's why I chose Berlin and BIM.
Mm-hmm.
And now I love Berlin. You know, I feel like it's something that you get to know when you live here, and you can look past a bit of the I don't know,
Aesthetics,
the aesthetics
and the smell. There's trees.
Somewhere.
I always thought these weren't trees until like a couple days ago. I always thought it was just Berlin just smells like shit. And then someone said they're trees that like when they drop their leaves, they smell like vomit. And now I notice it, I'm like, oh, it is definitely.
Really?
Are they
trees, but-
planted all over Berlin?
Yeah, and why did I don't know why they plant them.
What?
Like why would you plant different trees?
To mask the
Yeah, maybe.
everything else.
Yeah, because there was also Berlin was built on. It was built when there was a larger population.
Mm.
Like there was a larger population before the war than there is now. So all the sewers are really big. So in the summer, there's not enough movement in the sewers, and the stink just comes up. So I always thought it was that, but apparently awesome trees.
You know so much about Berlin. It's crazy.
When I first moved to
The
Berlin,
inside
I was like
The
underground tours.
Wikipedia.
And what about you? Where did you move?
Let me think. To be honest, I think it was like a very spontaneous decision to go to
Mhm.
Berlin and to study like songwriting. I actually wanted to study jazz clarinet, but that didn't really work out. And then I kind of wanted to go far away from my hometown. And then I stumbled upon this songwriting thing, which I didn't, like I knew it existed in the US, for example,
Right.
but I didn't know that Germany also offered it. So I don't know, I just found it online, I think. And then
Mhm.
my uncle lives in Berlin, so I've been to Berlin a couple of times before, so I knew the city, and I think, yeah, I just went for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm really happy I'm here.
Is there any part? I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this in like not a negative way, but is there anything you're like not happy about in terms of you chose to do this instead of going to like a very classical conservatoire? Do you think there would have been positives from the conservatoire that you missed now going into more of like an actual career in music?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, like I think the first thing I wanted to like improve at was music theory, and I realized that there's not a lot of music theory, especially in our first year going on.
Yeah, I haven't seen a score
Yeah.
in like I haven't seen like a stave
no.
in like a while, which apart from personal
Yeah.
practice, which is weird.
And also, I think just the amount of musicians who are actually studying an instrument, because I mean, for like a songwriter or anyone who wants to like form a band or whatever, you need people who are good at their instruments. And there are a lot of people who are good at their instruments, but there are, for example, there are 2 bass players in our year,
Yeah.
2, which is not a lot. If you want to,
Especially for like an integral part, like you can't.
yeah,
You
A
can maybe
bass.
not have a guitar, but you can't not have a bass.
exactly. And that's something I think will definitely be different at a state university. But I think there are so many advantages as well. Just the whole networking, which I think is so important if you actually want to build a career. So I don't know. I'm not really. I don't really regret any decision I've made. I think.
Yeah. It was more like a comparison
Yeah.
between the two of like what a classical conservatoire provides versus like a more modern music school.
I think if you want to be a musician, for I don't know. I can't really speak for myself because I'm not studying bass or whatever. But maybe then I would consider a state university to be more beneficial. But I think for the songwriting thing, it's amazing because you can't get that at the state university as well.
Is I don't know. I know almost nothing about songwriting. I try to get people to help me with it, and usually Mila fields the songwriting questions. Is there an expectation, like there is for production, for songwriters to be able to play lots of different instruments and at least know how they work, so they can kind of like tell people? I don't know. Just like, do you feel like there's any pressure or expectation for that?
I don't hear people say it, but I feel like it's definitely there, and I've heard it as well. I had a story where I wrote a song and I knew this bass player on Instagram who was like a really amazing bass player, and I sent him a message asking him to play for my song, and then he kind of gave me feedback, like really nice, telling me that I don't really know how to write bass lines yet,
Right.
for example, and that I should learn this before I send stuff to people. Like he said this in a really, really nice way.
Okay.
But it kind of opened my eyes that I should probably just know the basics definitely of all the instruments, so that if I write parts, that you can actually play them and that it makes sense. So I guess it's definitely very beneficial, and it's maybe also like an unwritten rule that it's just
I
very
think it's
helpful.
also more of like a creative control thing, because you can also just go work with a producer who's willing to arrange things in his or her way, you know?
Yeah.
Or with instrumentalists and let them do what they want to do. But if you want to write a song and have control over how it's going to sound, then it's helpful to know a bit.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I wouldn't say there's pressure, though. I feel like a lot of people just write songs with like really basic knowledge of one instrument and then take it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like maybe it's more like my kind of songwriting that I have this thing, because it's true. There are like a lot of people who just write with a guitar, and then at the end you have a beautiful song.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, we've done almost an hour.
Oh.
So before we sign off, can I say it yet? Is out. But can you give dates, where to find it? It'll be in the description, but where to find it, anything upcoming, can be personal projects, can be bands, shows, even though this is coming out in like August. Anything you want to promote. Doesn't have to be you as well. If there's any like underrated artists that you're like, go check this out, that's maybe interesting too.
I don't know, man. Dates is already out.
Yeah.
True. Can I say it yet? Streaming everywhere.
It's been out,
Go listen to it.
You should definitely follow Akari on Instagram. We will probably release our EP in the next couple of months. Cool. And our Instagram name is We Are Akari. So
nice.
For everyone,
might be out by the time this is out then.
Maybe. So for everyone who's interested in that kind of music, should check it out. But I don't think there's anything else.
Yeah, that's enough.
Promote.
That's good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for coming through. Thank you to everyone for listening.
Thank you for asking us.
Yeah.
Anytime.
For having us.
Awesome. Thanks. It's weird having the headphones.
That was an hour.
Yeah.